I'm Rob Dietz.
I'm Jason Bradford.
And I'm Ashar Miller. Welcome to Crazy Town, where we sell fireproof suits so you can swim across your neighbor's flaming moat.
In today's episode, we're exploring the wackadoodle world of bunker living, home bunker accessories, and bunker mentality. So grab some popcorn kernels, get outside, and light your moat on fire and start popping. And stick around for some smart and workable ideas for navigating the shit show that us wonky types call the polycrisis.
Jason, every time I come out here to your home slash farm slash podcast studio slash brothel. Oh, sorry. I shouldn't have mentioned that part.
For chickens.
Right.
Yeah.
There's something going on. Okay.
Yeah.
This time there's a lot of equipment.
Big equipment.
Big, we got our backhoes,
excavators,
trench diggers, bulldozers.
I'm glad that you asked them to stop,
Yeah, for today, I take the day off.
Recording.
Totally.
Okay, I appreciate that.
There's going to be rumbling in here.
What's the deal, dude?
All right. So, these guys usually work on freeways and, and they're excited about this. All these guys wish they could do this too.
Oh, okay.
It's going to be about a 2,000 foot long in circumference moat. It's at least 20 feet wide and 10 feet deep.
You're digging a moat.
It's a modest moat. I mean 20 feet.
As far as moats go.
I mean, if you're like a long jumper, you can get across it, but most people can't cover 20 feet.
Right.
What about those pole guys, right? You ever see that competition where they run, stick a pole in the ground? And
the Dutch do this over.
That's what I'm saying. It's a modest moat. I can't.
Okay.
I can't do it all.
So a moat.
A moat. Mm-hmm.
Uh-huh.
It's for security.
Where did you get this idea?
Well, I had forwarded to you guys a New York Times Magazine photo essay titled The Panic Industry Boom, and it's from April 10th, 2025. Not that long ago, I got on it.
It inspired you.
Yeah, you read that article and just started digging.
Yeah.
And you realized with your fingernails you weren't going to get very far, so you hired this team? Am I getting that right?
If we're going to keep using fossil fuels, might as well put them to good use.
Highest and best use, baby.
Yeah. Okay.
I will say that article blew me away. Like the photos in it had this weird mix between Mad Max and like a 1960s, 70s sci-fi.
Yeah.
Like picture rusty shipping container as the exterior. And then the interior was this like white, hyper sterile, like from 2001 A Space Odyssey looking thing.
Yeah.
It was crazy.
Yeah, some of them had a little bling to them, a little touch of class. Some wood trimmings on things.
Yeah, a couple of pieces of art might have been hanging there.
Yeah, I mean, my favorite piece, I have to say, are the gun ranges. I mean, if there's one thing that brings all of these people together, location might vary, the size of their bunkers might differ, but they all have to have their gun ranges for some reason.
What do you mean for some reason?
Well, I know the reason. Yeah, they got to get practice because when the hordes show up,
right,
you have to be judicious with your use of bullets.
Marksmanship, very important in the zombie apocalypse.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Well, my favorite part, you've already hit it because you're building it, is the moat. But the part that really struck me is not just a moat, it's a flaming moat.
Yeah, I can't afford that. I'm sorry.
Get a bunker, put in a flaming moat. They literally have like deployment of some kind of burnable liquid over this watered moat.
Just ready to go.
And then you hit the ignition switch, like I guess on a propane grill or something.
I think they got it from the old Byzantine Empire. They had this special flaming thing that would burn ships.
Right. It's some like gel thing that kind of spruces out of some like turrets and then you light it up, I think is how it works.
I guess you can only use it once though?
Yeah.
Well, that's the thing. I know we're going to critique this, but let's say you're trying to attack Jason's estate and he's got this flaming moat capability.
Why are you giving our listeners, dear listeners, please don't listen to this.
I'm just saying.
Giving them ideas.
I'm just saying, bring a picnic lunch, sit, maybe some marshmallows you can roast over the flames, and then it's going to go out.
For it to go out.
Yeah.
And then you just swim on in.
Look, in this day and age, nobody has the patience for that. In the TikTok era, who can wait, Rob?
Yeah.
You're just going to go, you're going to just try to cross the moat, I guess.
While we're on this topic, and I'm sorry to do this to you guys and to our listeners as well, but when I was thinking flaming moats, of course, I went to the realm of cinema.
Yeah.
And, the formative flaming moat scene happens in Braveheart, right?
Oh, I haven't seen that.
Maybe that's where they got.
You haven't seen Braveheart?
No,
you've never seen Braveheart.
Gosh.
No,
maybe that's a good thing. Mel Gibson playing the Scottish hero.
I know what it's about.
So anyway, there's a scene there where they've set up the flaming moat. It's not flaming yet, but the bad guys are in it, and then their archers shoot the flaming arrows from afar and burn it all up. That's the one that comes to mind first for most people, but I had another movie in mind when I thought Flaming Moat.
I can't believe you have more than one Flaming Moat in mind. It's amazing.
Well, it's the 1982 classic Beastmaster. About the guy.
That won Best Picture that year, right?
Yeah, I think it did. Okay. It's about the guy who can speak to animals through his mind. But the reason that one stuck in my head so much is the way he lights the flaming moat on fire. It's like they set some bad guy on fire. He's like running, burning, and then the hero like sidekicks him into the moat, and then that lights it up.
That's beautiful. Yeah. And there's many ways to do this, apparently.
Yeah. The whole gel thing from the turret, I'd rather, karate kick some flamed up bad guy, and that's a way better
human
spark.
Creativity and innovation. And where's it going to go?
Yeah, when you get desperate enough,
I love the website that the builders that put together for this.
Yeah, so in that article you sent, they said there's this Safe company, right?
Yeah.
And their whole thing is...
right, that's an acronym, right?
No, I think it just capitalized safe
Safe.
to emphasize.
Yeah, yeah, they had it all caps, protecting what matters most. So this is the company that builds bunkers, digs moats. Mm-hmm. What did they call it? Bespoke security
solutions. That's my favorite part.
So this is who you hired to do your
moat? No, I couldn't.
They're just too in demand.
I couldn't afford them. Their minimum is $10 million for a project. So.
Right.
No.
Well,
it's too bad. If
you go to this website, I mean, they're serious, but I think the three of us take it as somewhat as farce.
Yeah.
Bring your favorite part from that website. What's your favorite part, Jason?
I love how they do yacht security as well from pirates. And so there's these pictures of super yachts, and there'll be one of the company representatives, our team page is spectacular, and sort of standing, and in the distance is some yacht being launched out of whatever yachts get launched from, with the implication that if you're a pirate, don't even come close to this.
Don't fuck with this yacht.
They've got all kinds of crazy stuff, they're going to like microwave your brain or something. I don't know.
Well, I think that their team is world class. In fact, they told us that their team is world class. I mean, if you read the bios of the team members, it's a family affair, except they got this one guy named Parrot. I don't know. Maybe he just repeats everything that they say.
Yeah.
Not sure. But Naomi, I feel kind of bad for making fun of these people, but maybe not so much.
Okay.
A little bad.
Naomi, it looks like she might be the daughter of the founder.
Yeah, his name is Al V. Corby.
Yes. And she's Naomi Corby, right?
Yeah, and their photos are great because they got a photographer who told them what you need to do is cross your arms, and for some reason, like Al's sticking his thumb up, like I don't know what he's doing. He just wants everyone to see his Rolex. But she happens to be a distinguished professional with a dynamic background in bioscience, healthcare strategy, and medical preparedness. She brings unmatched expertise to save. I love bios. Yeah. We should do this at Post Carbon. Yeah. We should play up our bios a little bit.
Right. Well, it reminds me from the Simpsons episode where Homer wins the award for outstanding achievement in the field of excellence.
Yes. All the bios sound like that.
That's what, Jason, you are outstanding in the field of excellence as well. Yeah. Cher, you're excellent in the field of outstandandingness. So.
They call themselves Beyond Bond Security.
Beyond Bond.
Beyond Bond. But they do look like they could work for a supervillain and create a lair for a supervillain.
Here's the only thing. Their photos look a little too Photoshoppy for me. I'm not sure they've done much like in the real world.
I'm curious. Well, I mean, they're building
I
this
think
moat.
We should contact them. Yeah. Hey, dear listener, maybe you want to contact them and let us know, if they're available for work these days.
Yes.
I have to say, when I saw the website, I agree with you, Jason. The yacht thing did jump out where they, they said, we'll maintain the opulence and comfort of your yacht. Yeah. While safeguarding against any potential threats. Like that struck me. But the thing...
You think like torpedoes?
Sure.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
The thing that really did it for me, though, is that they do advanced C4I star command centers. You guys know that acronym? Of course you do. C4I star. command, control, communications, computers, intelligence, surveillance, target acquisition, and reconnaissance.
Man, they got it covered.
C4I star.
Acquisition.
Yeah.
Well, right. I guess this is a big deal. Like companies like this, there's more than one. They just might be the most bespoke-ish. But my favorite bit from this article was this statistic. A 2023 survey found that about 1/3 of American adults were prepping for a doomsday scenario, spending a collective $11 billion over 12 months.
Wow, $11 billion. This cellar project you got going on, is that counted in that or no?
I don't think so, although my contractors thought it was. So I've sold this story before, but I'm like, hey, contractor people, I would like a veggie and wine cellar. And they brought this guy out that does like bunkers for people. He was bragging about how like, oh, one of the state senators, I can't say his name, has got one of these, like, I can get you 200 yards trapdoor. It was like this sort of thing.
I mean, a root cellar and a bunker aren't substantially different in design,
so is your trapdoor in the chicken coop? Or actually, maybe you don't want to say publicly?
I can't tell people where it is. It's under the rutabaga.
Well, in the safe one, or one of the articles, the guy... It's behind his fireplace, and you play the James Bond theme to open it. Dun, 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 and then,
Oh, we should really take these people seriously when you tell me stories like that.
Well, then I like, I said, hey, come on. I was telling the contractor, but hey, come on in. I'm going to show you. I'm really excited. I'm going to show you what I'm going to put in there. And I led him into the bedroom.
He thought it was going to be like a stash of AR-15s or something.
He was like, do I really want to see this? I led him into the bedroom, and I had literally cases of wine stacked on the walls of my bedroom, like 3 deep and high, whatever. I can't wait to get this out of here.
Let's just tell the listeners too. Jason is a member of a wine club where they're making wine. You're not just
a severe alcoholic.
Right.
No, we make our own wine this club, and I store it for years before drinking it to make it more bespoke. And so
the word for the day is bespoke.
Yeah. Yeah, I thought if I ever use that word, you should basically kill me. But now I've overused it.
We're going to throw you in a flaming moat.
So now we all know it's ironic. But anyhow.
Okay. Thank God you told us.
But he looks at me in the eye and he goes, oh, so you really are going to put wine in there.
He's like, where's the gun rack going?
I mean, we're in pretty bad times when nobody believes you want an actually wine and veggie cellar. They just assume it's a euphemism for a doomsday vault.
So we don't know if we're going to assume the money you spend on putting that cellar in does not count as part of that $11 billion.
Well, it did at first, but they had to subtract it out to correct for the actual usage.
I think Elon Musk got in there with the Doge guys and made sure that the numbers added up properly. $11 billion in 1 year. That's quite a lot of money if you think about it. In fact, that is more than the amount of money that all of the nonprofits in the U.S. working on climate mitigation spend in the year.
Of course. Yeah.
So if you think about priorities.
Well, the priority, if I had $11 billion, I would become the Atlanta sports mogul.
What?
I would buy the Atlanta Hawks, the Atlanta Braves, and the Atlanta Falcons.
You can get them for about that much.
You should do this. Actually, Braves are not birds.
Yeah.
12, how much is it?
Yeah, it's around $11 billion. The valuation might be a little higher than that, but I think if I get all three at once, they'll give me a discount.
A discount, sure, you come in. Yeah. Well, interestingly, the global firearms market in 2024 is even less than this. And you got to wonder if one is a subset of the other, but it's only $10 billion spent.
There's some overlap
on all firearms.
That's got to be private firearms.
Yeah. We're not talking about the military. Come on. That's like a rounding error for the military. Yeah.
So we got a lot of people spending a lot of money to stay safe. Let's face it, balls of steel are not fun to have. They are heavy, noisy, and with balls of steel, you often put yourself in uncomfortable situations, such as standing up to authority and speaking truth to power. If you want to unburden yourself from the displeasure of having balls of steel, then why not get a pair of soft and comfortable cotton balls? The procedure to transition to cotton balls has gone through expedited approval by the FDA, and cotton balls same-day surgery clinics are springing up in strip malls all across America. If you are a cowardly member of Congress, business, law, or the media, and do not want to act according to your pledged professional standards or even legal obligations, then cotton balls may be right for you. Mention the Crazy Town podcast and get 10% off your new cushy balls or a free upgrade to Arizona-grown Pima cotton. Go ahead, get yourself some cotton balls and lose a pair. Okay, now let's turn to why this is mostly, and I say with all due respect towards the many people who have shooting ranges in their bunkers.
You don't want them to come for you.
No. I got a moat though. Really stupid, okay?
Wait, your moat is really stupid, or these people who have shooting ranges in their bunkers?
Most of what I've probably done is stupid. Anyway, let's look at these imagined scenarios for why this would be needed, quote unquote.
Okay.
We're talking about a complete breakdown of modern civilization, right? Nuclear wars, deadly pandemics, mass civil unrest, the trucks stop running for whatever reason. Mexico and Canada coordinate some pinching maneuver on us.
Massive EMP attack.
Zombie apocalypse kind of stuff. Okay. So I know maybe the photo essay didn't cover the breadth of the industrial prepping community, but I saw a lot of concrete and steel, nothing that would really help anybody once they crawled out of this hole, right?
Good point.
They got a year of storage or whatever, right? You can only store so much food. And actually, if you look at these pictures, right, you notice the landscape people are in for these bunkers. They're often quite barren. It was horrific.
I love the one, is it Nevada, where like it's the old missile silos or whatever?
That was in one of the Dakotas. Doesn't matter which one, they're the same. Yeah. But there was one in like ex-urban Dallas or Phoenix. It's like, are you kidding me? You get out, and then what?
You don't want to get out, because if you're in Phoenix, say a few decades out, it's too hot to get out. So you want to stay in your little hobbit hole
forever. So, I don't think most of these places are going to be highly conductive or conducive, let's say, and they may not conduct well either, to human life in some post-apocalyptic scenario.
So what you're saying is I haven't really thought this thing through.
I think they're thinking like one step as opposed to 3, 5 steps.
It is interesting, like all the gadgetry stuff makes me think, like you're saying, playing the James Bond thing to like open up the trap door. It's like they're cosplaying or something.
It's pretty clear that a lot of the people engaged in this have the same brain disease that I have. They've watched way too many movies and they think that that's how things work. Like Al V. Corby, the guy from the Safe company, I think he saw those same fire moat movies as I did, and that's what he's thinking. Like, this is real protection.
Beastmaster is his favorite.
I mean, what you're saying, Jason, like the whole I'm going to pop out of this thing at some time. The idea is they're going to go rummaging through old stocked stores. They'll be down at the Costco or the Piggly Wiggly or the Walmart superfood center. Yeah. And they'll just grab it and it's fine. I can eat for years off of that. Again, it's the movie thing. Like people watch the movie Zombieland. The zombies invade and all the stores are still stocked. You just got to go in with your baseball bat, kill a few zombies, and then you got pork and beans. Yeah.
It's a problem. I don't think these people that are in their bunker will know what the root end of a rutabaga is. Right. Okay. And that's a problem.
Honestly, I think it's a mad dream. It's a failure to reckon with what's actually coming. People, they sort of love this idea of the stores are still stocked and I can go through them. It's like the joy and wonders of shopping and consumerism without the crowds and without the having to pay.
Look, some people are a little bit more sophisticated in their thinking. Yes. Okay. They're not just thinking about how they could have how many cans of whatever that they're going to compile. So remember, we did in our false prophet season, we did an episode on long-termism. Yep. And I think it was episode 73.
Can you describe long-termism? Because by itself, that just sounds like, many years.
Sure. Yeah, right. So there's a whole group of people who are long-termists, and they're part of a kind of a collection or connected to people who are called effective altruists. And their thinking is, there are existential threats and risks to humanity. Humanity's needs to be focused on supporting as many people living for as long as possible. And we need to eventually colonize the stars, because this Earth, at some point, something's going to happen. If it's not a nuclear holocaust, it's going to be, the sun.
A comet,
So, or we just use it all up ourselves.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're not thinking that much about that. But so, there are these threats, and what we need to do is think long term. And so our investments, this is where the effective altruism comes in. It's like, what's the best use of our money and resources, to be most effective in the long term? And that's why, fuck the lives of poor, struggling people in Africa or even the United States. We have to be thinking about who's going to help us, get off of this godforsaken rock. Yes. So one of these long-termist effective altruist guys named Robert Hansen, he's an economist. He had a great solution for thinking about how do you prepare, you got your contingency plans. And this is what he said, and I'm quoting here, quote, "It might make sense to stock a refuge," or let's say it's a bunker, "with real hunter-gatherers and subsistence farmers, together with the tools they find useful. Of course, such people would need to be disciplined enough to wait peacefully in the refuge until the time to emerge was right. Yeah. Perhaps such people could be rotated periodically from a well-protected region where they practice simple lifestyles so they could keep their skills fresh." Yeah. So this is different. It's like not just a bunker for you and your little nuclear family. You're going to have a refuge where you put these hunter-gatherer types, so that you can count on them after Armageddon happens.
I feel like he wrote that for The Onion. Not for a real.
It was totally serious.
Place.
He did not, dude.
It is unbelievable. Is there a more Orwellian name, by the way, than effective altruist?
I know.
They're like, let me pick something that sounds kind and generous. Meanwhile, it's all about me and traveling to the stars.
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay. Well, would it be fair to say that most of the folks that were covered in the New York Times Magazine essay, or the folks that were covered implicitly, they showed their bunkers?
Yes.
Were on the political right?
Yeah,
I would think so.
I would say so. I mean, I don't know what the authors or photojournalists' intent was. I think they might have been on our side, like trying to expose this as silly, but the actual practitioners, I will give you.
There were some giveaways, like everyone had a
all the Trump posters in their bunkers. That was a giveaway.
What's interesting, though, is that I also shared some articles, which you guys did a great job of reading, that cover some preppers on the left. And this was covered kind of because of Trump's election. It seems like it kind of, the reporting community, the media said, oh, there's probably some freaked out liberals out there or lefties. What are they doing?
I mean, that happened in 2016 also.
Sure. And whenever a Democrat gets elected, there's articles about the right freaking out and bunker sales skyrocket.
Yeah, I remember there were going to be the death panels when they were trying to do the healthcare bill, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
Well, your Guardian article that you shared was called "All of His Guns Will Do Nothing for Him." Now, let's not go that far. I mean, they got to do something.
Yeah.
But they put some stats out and said that 20% of U.S. citizens are considered preppers. Not in the sense like the Doomsday Prepper TV show or whatever, but like just kind of thinking it through, maybe having some supplies set aside.
That's 70 million.
I think the pandemic, I mean, look, I did that. We came up with some extra food and a list of things that we needed to have.
Yeah, have some water jugs and things. Yeah, so, and a lot of people have a go bag, in case there's a wildfire, earthquake, something like that. But that's substantial, right? I mean, 20% of the U.S. population, but then 15% of those are politically left. We saw that too in another article you shared that came out around the time of Trump's inauguration that said, should you be prepping for Trump? So that's getting to your point exactly.
Yeah, so that's about 10 million on the left versus about 70 million total or something like that.
Yeah.
So the Guardian one I thought was interesting because even the title gives away like a real difference. He read the liberal preppers different from their right-wing counterparts because the calamities they anticipate have different characteristics, right? The right wing is worried about tyranny, civil unrest. They're worried about basically people coming after them.
Yes.
Right?
People coming for your guns.
Yeah. So they focus on stockpiling weapons and, they're going to protect their property and their family from
the UN helmets. The blue
whoever
helmets.
it is, that's the enemy du jour, right? That they need to be worried about. And, the left tends to be more worried about things like climate breakdown. Yeah. The entire global ecological system breaking down, right? It's not a fleeting crisis that you can ride out, to your point, Jason, right? It's not like an acute kind of situation. It's something that's longer term that you have to deal with.
That article had an awesome quote, I thought, about one of the people they were interviewing. He said, if you find yourself in a situation where you're having to let off some rounds to protect your canned goods, you've already failed.
Right.
Tend to pretty well agree with that.
Mm-hmm.
Well, one of the issues that the lefty side is facing is, okay, we recognize climate change. We agree that it's a real thing and you're starting to feel the effects. It's going to make places uninhabitable and people are going to have to maybe be moving. But there's kind of this argument around, is that even possible? It's kind of silly to think a large percent of the population can actually pick up and move.
Totally.
And even if you could, you're leaving behind the people maybe, if they can't go. How are we going to deal with this in hard times if you're busting up communities? Because that's what the lefty preppers are sort of trying to do, is build community.
Build a community, but then they're leaving a community. They struggle with this. A lot of guilt even related to leaving somebody behind or leaving a poor person behind that you love, this kind of thing.
Yeah, so they're a little bit conflicted, I would say, the lefty preppers. But they do share some stuff in common. I mean, one of the things I wanted to share with you guys is the opening sentence of one of the articles, the one about should you be preparing for Trump. It's a fantastic opening sentence. It starts like this. It says, Julie Gettinger keeps a bag packed with iodine pills and a machete.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
This is
That's what every go bag needs.
This is a lefty prepper with iodine pills and a machete. I thought we should, I always want to be a game show host. Yeah. I thought we should play a fun prepper game, which is what two objects do you have with you? That's all you got in your go bag, two objects. So for me, I would have a bottle of psilocybin pills.
That's good.
And a live hornet's nest.
What? Why the live hornet's nest?
Okay, so we had an episode about entropy and self-organization, and we were saying if you're going to be out in maybe a post-industrial world, think about things that self-organize. So I don't want a gun. I mean, that's just subject to entropy. That'll fall apart. It'll misfire.
Okay.
I'll run out of ammo. I have a live hornet's nest. I've got a bioweapon.
You're going to somehow fling it at your pursuers?
Well, I haven't worked out all the technical details yet, okay? But
you keep working on that,
He's
buddy.
Smart.
You keep working on that.
Rob is really smart.
All right, what do you got? What's in your bag?
It's easy. A boomerang and a Bowie knife. Yeah.
A boomerang.
A boomerang.
How
and a
good
Bowie
are you
knife.
with a boomerang with your busted shoulder, buddy?
No, it's my left shoulder is busted. My right wing is still got some firepower. And all right. So one is for distance, right? The boomerang.
Yeah.
Right. And the Bowie knife is for close quarters and for also, skinning and these sort of things. So I think I'd be set.
I don't think you guys are very practical.
I'm going to take him out with my hornet's nest before he can throw his boomerang. But that's if we don't form up community and work together.
Let's work together.
Yeah.
You guys would be a formidable team. Yeah. I'm much more practical.
Okay.
So my two things are I've got a copy of The Road by Cormac McCarthy.
User manual. That's brilliant.
Yeah, it's a user manual. And the other is I'm going to put a hunter-gatherer in my backpack.
Small.
Yeah, short-statured one. Yeah. Not too heavy. Yeah.
Okay.
Well, you got
much more practical.
What was that guy's name? The long-termism nut? Maybe that was a pen name. And you actually wrote that article.
Yeah. My real name is Robin Hansen.
Yeah. Well, I think it was the Guardian article relied a bit on this guy, Alex Steffen.
Yeah.
He's sort of well known in more of the liberal to, leftist to moderate.
He was
community.
he's been a big voice on climate mitigation for a long time. And I think he actually made a big turn from climate mitigation to more thinking about this climate system is going to break down.
What are you going to do?
Yeah.
And what's interesting is he sort of suggests to a lot of people is they stay in cities where people can share infrastructure and look out for each other in a mutual aid sort of way. So you have this community that is in place in these cities. I found that interesting. It's counter to what I would consider conventional wisdom. And in some situations, maybe that is the best, but I don't know if that's great for long term. So I thought maybe we could flesh out some distinctions.
Well, I think that is... It's worth, I think, teasing out. Maybe we'll get a chance to do that in a future episode. But it's true. It's like that is one of the distinctions that stood out to me. And we talked about it a little bit, is that some of the quote unquote lefty preppers, the ones who are thinking more about community, are doing so because they're probably anticipating more like a long descent, a slow collapse than they are some crazy event like a nuclear holocaust or some isolated natural disaster.
Right.
And I think that is a point of differentiation, whether cities are the best place to ride out those long descent type things. That's something I think worth us talking about. Mm-hmm. But it's really around, I think, a community approach versus a solo approach. Yeah. Although I will say, I think we're not giving enough credit to some that are maybe more conservative or more right politically leaning, who are very community oriented. Yeah, they might be exclusionary in terms of who they define as part of the community.
Yeah.
And maybe there's a distinction there. But the Mormons have been great about,
of course,
doing preparation stuff, and they're very community focused.
Yes.
It would be interesting to talk to that guy, Alex Steffen, and see what his view is on the urban-rural divide. I suspect, urban, you have your neighbors, it's kind of easy to form community, you have block parties or whatever, and he's probably thinking of U.S. rural as, one family living out here and then 2 miles away is the next family.
Yeah.
But if you're thinking rural, more the old school village style, you could still be building that community and having these ability to prepare together in a communitarian way.
Yeah.
I think what's interesting too about this political side, we're so politically divided, right, left. You think we've already pointed out the righty preppers or individualists stocking their guns and building their bunkers with the shooting range, and the lefties are more like, I need to have a community farm that we all gather around. Kind of like the hippie dream you have here, Jason.
Yes.
But there's a lot of similarity as well. There's some things in common. The surprising one is that they both have guns.
Yeah.
The lefties maybe don't have the wall of AR-15s.
They got little pea shooters.
Right. Look, if there's anything that's going to bring Americans together across political divisions, it's guns.
Of course.
Right.
Of course.
There's nothing more American
You're
than that.
absolutely right.
Yeah.
The other thing is, that both sides of the political spectrum in trying to prepare will store food and emergency supplies. That makes sense. I think the main thing they have in common is this skepticism of institutions, this shared distrust or mistrust in government. Mm-hmm. And it's not just government too, also big business, kind of just being wary of any big outside institution is going to come help us.
Yeah.
I would be curious to hear from our Aussie listeners, for example, places where maybe guns is not the thing that they would have in common in terms of people who are anticipating or thinking about preparing for some kind of collapse, because there are many countries where guns are not quite so readily available, right? So how are they thinking about it? Maybe it's the machetes. So Aussies, is that
boomerang?
No. That's not a knife. This is a knife.
That's right.
Right.
Well, Jason did it. He's got the buoy and the boomerang. That's very Aussie.
I didn't realize you were Australian.
All right, we're going to go real Aussie with a new segment on what are our listeners doing.
Awesome.
So we heard from a listener named Varie Fraser, and she said, greetings from the land down under, so Ooh. Australia, yeah. She says, we live in a rural community in New South Wales, Australia, and last year we started a small group, 14 members, called Living at 1.5. She says, we naively thought we could develop lifestyle strategies to bring our individual carbon budget down to 3.5 tons of CO2 equivalent and fall from there, presumably down to 1.5. And she said, the journey took us into the belly of global modernity. We couldn't breathe. Then we found Tom Murphy, our buddy. Then we read Ishmael and the Story of B, great books. Then we found Alex Leff,
great podcaster,
and Nate Hagans, and Crazy Town.
Wow, hitting the highlight reels.
Said, whoa, what a relief.
One thing is not like these others, and that's us.
So she said the group is continuing for a second year with 4 new members, almost a 25% increase, and they're following Tom Murphy's Metastatic Modernity program.
Ooh, cool.
And says our brains are exploding, our hearts are widening, our ability to sit with uncertainty is expanding.
That's huge.
Yeah, and they're all the people, she says, are involved in local projects and activities like community-owned solar farm, rehabbing wetlands, running a community garden. So anyway, all the kinds of things that we are strong proponents of, and it's awesome that folks out there are doing these kinds of things. It's inspiring.
I didn't hear anything about a bunker, though. So maybe we can get back to them and find out like how big the bunker is.
Yeah, what's the bunker industry like in Australia? We got to figure this out.
Individual bunkers? Do they have a collective bunker?
Private bunkers, private gun ranges.
No, you guys are not invited to the Living at 1.5 group.
On a serious note, that's awesome to hear. And the key word there was community.
Good job.
Yeah, thanks, Vuri. And anybody else out there that's doing any projects like this or has got something going on to respond to the polycrisis, the great unraveling, let us know.
Okay, guys, do those crazy existential risk people that you were talking about earlier, Cher, wanting to put peasants and hunter-gatherers in bunkers for the apocalypse have a point?
You mean geniuses?
Yes. Do they have a point?
Yeah,
I mean, hear me out. I don't mean putting peasants in bunkers. I mean, that's cuckoo. But I mean becoming a peasant.
Oh, you think that, yeah. So they just got it slightly wrong.
Yeah.
Got it.
This is not something you can just pick up from a book when you need to. You have to be good at it. You have to embody it in a sense.
Your big takeaway here is let's all be peasants.
Pretty much.
And maybe it's a reclaiming of the word. I feel like in high energy modernity, peasant has a bad connotation.
Yeah,
totally.
I think we need role models.
So did Luddite.
That's true.
It was phony. They misconstrued.
Well, so we got Brian Merchant, who's trying to bring back the Luddites. We need role models. We need inspiration here. How about the best basketball player in the world? Why don't we recruit him?
Who's that?
Michael Jordan.
No, currently playing.
Okay.
I should have. Yeah,
sorry.
Nikola Jokic.
I've heard of the guy.
Center for Denver Nuggets.
Serbian.
Yes, he's an incredible basketball player.
I've heard this. Great passer.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
He's like...
He can do everything.
He was top 10 in every... Or top 5 in every category.
Oh my
offensive category. He's never been known before.
Oh my God. Assists,
again,
rebounds.
Dude, there was this like great clip of him a couple of years ago. They won the championship, and one of these reporters are doing a presser afterwards, and a reporter asks him, like, hey, are you looking forward to the big parade that's going to happen? Denver had never won the NBA championship before. Big deal for the city, right?
Sure.
You're looking forward to the parade, and then he turns to like the PR guy for the Denver Nuggets. He's like, parade? There's a parade? Like, when is it? And the guy must have said something like 2 or 3 days. And he's like, oh, no, I want to get back home. He's like, doesn't want to do any of this shit. He just wants to get home to his horses.
Yeah, his farm.
He just wants to live simply. So let's recruit Nikola Jokic.
Yeah, he's our spokesperson.
He could be our spokesperson for peasanthood.
I agree.
Even though he has hundreds of millions of dollars, let's put that aside.
I'll reach out to him.
Yeah, I'm all for that. I love the sports, and I think that's where we should go. But if let's just say if, we don't happen to get a hold of Nikola Jokic, and he does not take this over, we need to figure out how to become peasants.
No, that's what I'm saying. I just want a spokesperson to encourage me.
Right.
Yeah,
that's all
Jason's
you need.
already working on the peasant thing. I mean, have you seen the clothes he wears?
Yeah.
Jeez.
Yeah. Can you get some pants, dude?
The smell coming off. I should not be feeding into the negative stereotypes of peasants. You smell wonderful.
Thank you.
Lavender.
Right. Old leather.
Yeah, exactly.
I think there is a big mental piece. I mean, this is where, we talked a little bit, mentioned his name anyway, Tom Murphy, in our listener feedback, in our listener experience segment. We've got to mentally prepare for the end of high energy modernity and be able to take this on ourselves. And I don't know, maybe I'm stuck on it because I learned so much. Years ago, we did an episode on mortality and basically dealing with death, getting right with, you have a limited time on this earth. How are you going to treat each other? How are you going to treat the planet? And I think that's something we all got to move towards.
Yeah.
What are we doing mentally that helps us understand that we've got to be part of this ecosystem and we've got to power down?
I think it's a really key point, which is when none of the conversation of any of the articles that we alluded to, and many, I think, of the things that are being written about in terms of people who are trying to prep, quote unquote prep, gets to the emotional, psychological component of this stuff, right? And that element of care is as important as the more practical things, and focusing on that a bit, I think, is really key. And it's something you could do pre-collapse of stuff, as much as anything else.
Yeah, I'm imagining the loss of these things. It breaks me sometimes, especially when I think about, okay, the Amazon's going to flip or the coral reefs are gone. That's the extinction event is what really gets me. Losing the ability to stream Netflix doesn't bother me.
No?
No. And so I've already let go of a lot of the expectation of the trappings of modernity. Yeah. It's the natural world and what's happening to that gets to me.
I'm good too, because I have all those movies continuously playing in a loop in my head. So
I think we need Rob in the bunker with us, because Rob could just act out. He could just act out all the roles.
Oh my God.
I'll be the George Lucas of the bunker.
That would be great. Can you do 16 candles tonight, Rob?
I also think we have to be honest. So we have to be honest when we think about preparation for if you want to call it the end of modernity, the long descent, the great unraveling. The good and bad news is that there are so many different aspects to engage in terms of what people could do now in their preparation. But one of the things that you have to be honest about is where you are in your life.
Yeah.
You have to be honest about where you live. You have to be honest about the skills that you have. In my case, I have to be honest. We have this farming club, Jason.
Yeah.
I was actually just here yesterday. We were out, on the farm together, and we're trying to move these water lines. And you're indicating to me, straighten out your back.
I was trying technique. Yeah, that's right.
I'm getting older. I'm getting up there, and I'm more limited in what I could do physically. So just sort of being honest about where we have skills that are valuable, where we don't, and not expecting. And this is the other reason why this whole idea of prepping for your own family or yourself is so wrong, because you can never get all the skills that are needed for the future.
Right.
This is why we survived as a species, was doing it in community.
There's no I in peasant.
No I in peasant.
That's our show. Thanks for listening. If you like what you heard and you want others to consider these issues, then please share Crazy Town with your friends. Hit that share button in your podcast app, or just tell them face to face. Maybe you can start some much needed conversations and do some things together to get us out of Crazy Town. Thanks again for listening and sharing.
Crazy Town, da, 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 Crazy Town.